Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the Screen Facts with Jason Davis podcast. Every Wednesday, my guests and I talk about a movie we've enjoyed. We throw in some fun trivia facts about the film for you during the conversation. Please like us at facebook.com/screenfacts. Post your comments or questions. You can also tweet me at Jason Davis Voice or email screenfacts@yahoo.com. Joining me on the podcast this week, my good pal, my brother from another mother, the one and only Tim Donnelly.
What's up?
What's up, my brother?
How you doing, man?
Good. Great to have you again.
Great to be back once again.
Yes, sir. So we are going to discuss a classic 1980s film today.
We are indeed.
It is the film that everybody's got on the tip of their tongue these days, not because of the classic, but because of the remake.
Yes.
Ghostbusters. Now, before we jump in and talk about the original Ghostbusters, we just came a couple of hours ago from the remake. We're not going to get into great detail about the remake. I enjoyed it. There was funny stuff in it. I'm a big fan of Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones. They're all great. One of the things I did enjoy about the movie was that it really shows how empowered these women are. They really kick ass in the movie. I would tell people, form your own opinion. Go see the new Ghostbusters.
Yeah, go for it.
Honestly, for no other reason, support an all-female cast.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like a lame reason to do something, but there's so much shit that gets made in Hollywood these days.
The four female leads,
they're really good together.
I think they're great. I always think Melissa McCarthy is funny, and I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan, so
me too.
I love Kate McKinnon, Kristen Wiig, and Leslie Jones. The female leads are great.
Fantastic. I agree. And I feel like you got to support stuff like this because you want Hollywood to start making more movies with strong female lead characters that don't just talk about men the whole time. And, like stupid, for lack of a better term, chick flicks.
Right.
So that's enough about the new Ghostbusters movie.
Done.
Because we are here to talk about Ghostbusters.
The classic original.
Released June 8th, 1984. Of course, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, Annie Potts, and Rick Moranis are your stars. Directed by Ivan Reitman, who is a genius. Written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis.
And all of the people that you just mentioned, with the exception of Rick Moranis, they all, in some ways, even the late, great Harold Ramis, they all have cameos in the new Ghostbusters.
William Atherton, who plays Walter Peck in the original, is not in this new movie either.
There's a story, I think they tell it on the DVD commentary to Ghostbusters. It was Harold Ramis or Ivan Reitman said William Atherton was legitimately pissed and upset with them.
Yeah.
Because people were like picking fights with him. And he said something about a busload of people, or it might even have been school kids, was driving by and they saw him and they all went, "Hey, dickless."
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, he made kind of his whole career out of playing that sort of character.
Right. And you're a big fan of Real Genius.
Yeah, Real Genius. Yeah. He plays Professor Hathaway in that. And it's a similar character. And, of course, the reporter in the Die Hard
jerk
movies.
Reporter in Die Hard. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, you and I have previously done a podcast about Die Hard. There's a double Die Hard connection in Ghostbusters. Not only William Atherton, of course, playing Walter Peck, and he plays the reporter in Die Hard, but if you look closely, after the Ghostbusters headquarters has blown up and they've been arrested and they're waiting in jail, the cop who comes to get them says, "Hey, Ghostbusters, Mayor wants to see you guys," is none other than, I believe, in his first movie role,
could be
Reginald Vell Johnson, who would later go on to fame as Sergeant Al Powell in Die Hard.
Yep. Very, very cool. So Ghostbusters received Oscar nominations for Best Visual Effects and Best Original Song for Ray Parker Jr.'s theme. The song was also nominated for a Golden Globe, as was the movie and Bill Murray's performance. A TV commercial for a drain company was the inspiration for the Who You Gonna Call hook from the theme song.
No kidding.
Yeah, Ray Parker Jr. wrote the theme song at like 4:30 in the morning after almost 2 days of trying. He saw the commercial, and it reminded him of the scene in the movie where they're doing their own commercial.
Right.
We're ready to believe you.
Right.
You know,
ever been woken by strange noises in the middle of the night? You ever heard it as a spook, specter, or ghost? The answer to all these questions suggests that don't wait another minute. Call the Parallelism and Elimination Professionals, Ghostbusters.
Which is really funny. So yeah, he kind of saw that as a sort of a parallel thing to the drain company.
Right.
And that kind of helped him come up with the concept for the song. There's another cool song in the movie, too.
Yeah, and another future musical connection.
Mm-hmm.
The song "Cleaning Up the Town" when the Ghostbusters really get on a roll, and like
there's I think it's like two things in the movie. First, when they're running out of the library,
right?
And then when they're speeding out of the headquarters in the hearse,
Right.
at some point it's playing too.
The song is cleaning up
and
the
it might
town.
even be part of the end credits too.
I believe you are correct, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
very
cleaning
good.
up the town, yeah.
So it's a recurring theme and motif in the movie. In the 1993 Harold Ramis directed Bill Murray starring movie Groundhog Day. That's the song that Bill Murray plays on the piano in the bar.
When he's, when he keeps repeating the day and he keeps
in
coming up with new
his
skills.
163rd life, he plays that on the piano.
I never caught that before, but it's very, very cool.
Yeah,
and,
good stuff.
Another big movie hit for the Busboys, who of course did the theme to 48 Hours.
Yeah, the boys are back in town, and they opened for Eddie Murphy in his now iconic comedy special Delirious.
Yep.
Big round of applause for the Busboys. The Busboys come to my house, the fish stop swimming.
So the budget for Ghostbusters, $30 million. Lifetime domestic gross of $242.2 million. Worldwide, $295.2 million. This is Columbia Pictures' highest grossing film of all time when adjusted for inflation.
Not surprising.
Right. Now, this was the highest grossing PG-rated film of 1984.
Right.
The only movie that made more money than this in 1984 was a little movie called Beverly Hills
Beverly
Cop.
Hills Cop. I remember how huge that movie was.
Yeah, and that also has been discussed on this podcast. Go check for that episode, by the way.
Right. The highest grossing PG-rated movie of 1984. In the scene when you first see Dr. Venkman, he's in the office kind of giving that shock test to the male and the female student. The camera pans in on the door to their office, and it says, Venkman burn in hell.
Yes.
Somebody wrote graffiti like that on the door. And according to Ivan Reitman, originally that was supposed to be much more obscene and sexually explicit graffiti written on the door. But Ivan Reitman always pictured this film as something that parents could take their kids to.
Okay.
He saw the benefit in that, not just politically, but economically.
Right.
And so I
Smart.
think the PG rating perhaps contributed to the large take at the box office.
Yeah, and the new movie is PG-13 for what that's worth. So, they're clearly trying to play to as wide of audience as possible.
Sure.
So, yeah, the original movie was going to be totally different. It had three main characters, originally written for John Belushi to play Peter Venkman.
Right.
Dan Aykroyd, of course, would be the same character, and Eddie Murphy.
And speaking of Beverly Hills Cop.
Right. And that's why it's kind of interesting that Eddie Murphy's Beverly Hills Cop beat this out at the box office that year, because he was originally being talked about being in this movie.
Right. And if Eddie Murphy was in the movie, Winston Zeddemor's part would have been much bigger.
Right.
He probably would have been in the movie from the very beginning.
Yeah, in fact, I read something about Ernie Hudson being a little disappointed with how small the role became, because he had probably seen an original script that had the Winston character.
A bigger part, right.
With a bigger part, exactly.
Right.
John Candy was also supposed to be in the original movie.
Supposed to play Rick Moranis, right?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be Louis Tully.
Yeah. But he had ideas for the character that didn't jive with the rest of the crew and
Yeah,
stuff.
they said like he came in one day and thought, well, what if I did it with a German accent?
Yeah,
and they
it
were
was the
like, John,
thing.
what the hell are you doing? That's he didn't quite get what the role of Louis Tully was supposed to be, so he backed out, much to the delight of Rick Moranis, who was kind of chomping at the bit, who he really wanted this part.
But Candy was one of many stars that made a cameo in the music video.
Right, he's in the video very quickly.
One of the greatest things about this movie for me is Bill Murray. He improvises most of his lines in this movie.
Yeah, most of the dialogue from start to finish is not in the finished script. The whole thing wasn't improvised, but most of what's in the script doesn't really make it to the film.
Right. Yeah, it's really funny. And I know the scene where they're in the library and the bookcase falls down.
Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
That wasn't supposed to fall, and when it fell, that reaction is genuine.
I think that was a last-minute addition. The asymmetrical book stacking.
Yeah,
that was kind of a.
No humans would stack books like this.
You're right. No human being would ever stack books like this. That was kind of a last-minute addition. And speaking of the New York Public Library, I had read that it was a big challenge to film in there. The exterior with the two lions, that's definitely the New York Public Library exterior. And the first shots of the librarian pushing the cart, that is the main reading room of the New York Public Library. And they had permission to film there, but only for a short amount of time. They got to film from 5 in the morning to 10 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And that's it.
Wow.
So within that 5-hour span, they had to get everything lit and everything set, and the actors had to be on call and on cue, and they had to film it, and then they had to put everything back the way it was supposed to be in time for the New York Public Library's 10 a.m. opening.
Wow. Talk about being under the gun. That's crazy. They did a really cool marketing thing with this movie, too. They wanted to keep audiences engaged. And honestly, I remember when this movie was out, you didn't have a problem being engaged. This was like the biggest thing that year.
Oh, God, yeah.
Even if it wasn't the biggest movie box office wise, I mean, I remember everybody was talking about this
I remember the video, the shirts, the merchandise, the posters, all that stuff.
So one of the things that Ivan Reitman did was he created a commercial that was kind of like the commercial in the movie that we just talked about before, except they put an 800 number.
A real phone number.
A real phone number instead of the 555 number. And I actually remember having a shirt. It's long gone now.
Right.
But I had a shirt with the number.
Wow.
And you called the number and you got one of the Ghostbusters, a recording saying, hey, you know, we're not around right now. We're out catching ghosts. Leave your message or whatever.
And how many calls did they get?
1,000 per hour, 24 hours a day for 6 weeks. So
before the internet, like that's how a movie went viral.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Exactly. You know, you didn't have Twitter. You didn't have Facebook.
Right.
Instagram, all that. So it's
genius.
Really
genius.
That's one of the things I think we always talk about when we talk about older movies, how they really had to use their brains and come up with stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things about the new movie that's pretty cool is obviously the special effects are crazy good.
I'll give the reboot that much.
Yeah.
It's a stunning looking movie.
Yeah,
it's a great looking film.
Really cool. And there's a couple of, cool gags with the ghosts. But
sure.
This movie, when you watch it now, the special effects are like the only thing that don't hold up too well.
Yeah.
But they're not terrible.
No, they're not terrible.
The only thing to me that's really cheesy when you watch it now is the quote-unquote dog that's chasing Rick Moranis.
Right. When it's not the up-close, full-scale puppet of the terror dog, and it has to run and chase people. Yeah, it's obviously fake.
It's like, it looks like Clash of the Titans kind of Harryhausen stuff.
Right. Which Ivan Reitman even admits, but he's like, it was 1984. What can you do? Today we could do it digitally. Back then we did what was available for us to do.
Let's talk a little bit about some of our favorite improvisations in the movie.
Egon, this reminds me of the time you tried to drill a hole through your head.
That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me.
That line is Harold Ramis's and Ramis's alone.
I love him. I miss that guy.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a guy who was responsible for some of the funniest movies ever in some capacity, whether it's as a writer, director, or star.
I mean, even just
or producer, even
not even talking about what he went on to do after Ghostbusters, a very prolific career in Hollywood as actor, writer, director, and producer. But even the movies that he did leading up to Ghostbusters, he co-wrote Animal House.
Right.
He directed Caddyshack.
Right.
He co-wrote, co-produced, and co-starred in Stripes with Bill Murray.
Yep.
And Ivan Reitman directed, Bill Murray starred, but Harold Ramis also worked on the script to Meatballs.
Right.
So, I mean, Harold Ramis had his bona fides by the time he got to Ghostbusters.
And that's just before Ghostbusters.
That's before Ghostbusters.
And then afterwards, of course, Groundhog Day.
Yes.
One of the most underrated Harold Ramis directed movies is, to me, a movie called Ice Harvest with John Cusack.
Yeah, and
very dark comedy.
Yes, a very dark comedy.
And Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes, absolutely right.
I had the opportunity when I lived down in Virginia to see a film festival showing of that.
Okay.
And Harold Ramis was actually there.
Oh, wow.
And I had a brief moment with him as we were leaving. He was kind of walking out by us, and I said it was great. Loved it.
No
Loved
way.
all your stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but kind of like your Ted Williams moment.
Right. The Ted Williams
he acknowledged,
moment Sure.
Yeah. But
everything I've heard, he was just like a super nice, humble, down-to-earth guy. And,
that was the vibe I got from him.
Yeah.
Totally.
Speaking of Ramis's improv line, that would have worked if you hadn't stopped me. That line was inspired by an actual experiment.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
an experiment proposed by a dolphin communications researcher named John Lilly, who proposed drilling a hole in his head to test some higher order brain function.
Wow.
The experiment, thankfully, never came to fruition, but his ad-lib line about drilling a hole through his head, that's grounded in reality.
Sad.
As is the shock experiment that you see Venkman doing on the two students, the infamous Milgram shock experiment at Yale University in 1963.
That's such a great scene. I love when he shocks the guy and the gum falls out of his mouth. The party scene where Louis Tully, Rick Moranis, is mingling with his guests. He's talking about the price of the salmon, all that stuff.
Hey, Ted and Ed.
Yeah, that's one continuous take, and it's almost entirely improvised as well.
Yes, yeah. Good stuff.
I love watching movies with these people that are rooted in all these different improvisation groups because they come up with so many great things. That's the one thing that's probably going to be cool about the release on DVD and Blu-ray of the new movie. I'm sure there's going to be alternate takes of things.
Right. I'd love to see what didn't make it into into the movie.
We were talking about William Atherton before.
Yeah. You can believe, Mr. Pecker. My name is Peck.
So in 2010, he was being interviewed, and he said that they use shaving cream.
Pounds of shaving cream.
The big scene in the end after they save the day.
Right.
And
they disintegrate the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Right. Still love that. The giant mound of what's supposed to be marshmallow falls on top of Walter Peck, which, by the way, it's pretty easy to miss that that's him if you're not paying attention.
Right. And it really is him.
Yeah.
It really is him.
It really is him. But originally, they were going to do more than what they dumped on him.
Mm-hmm.
So he said that they had an 8th grade science test. He went under the bag and asked, how much shaving cream is in there? And they said, not that much. So I said, well, how much does it weigh? It's about 75 pounds, but it's shaving cream.
What's heavier, 75 pounds of feathers or 75 pounds of shaving cream?
Exactly. It's the same thing. So imagine somebody dropping 75 pounds of anything on you.
Right.
And what that would feel like. So they ended up using a stunt guy to test a lesser amount.
Right. Knocked him flat, right?
Knocked him out. Yeah. So they obviously they did a little bit less than 75 pounds.
Thank goodness for that.
It's pretty amazing, that scene. Everything about the end of this movie is so great.
Oh, yeah. Despite the fact that they held up traffic in about half of New York City to film that scene. Yeah.
They shot some stuff without permits, too, didn't they?
The scenes where they're kind of running around and they're doing, you see the magazine covers where it's like
the Casey Kasem voiceover?
Yeah, the Casey Kasem voiceover. They're running around the city. The scene of the 3 Ghostbusters just kind of running towards us down a street. I think that was the first thing they filmed.
Okay.
Bill Murray literally got off a plane from France, came to the set. They dressed them up, and the very first thing they filmed was the 3 of them in full packs and uniforms.
That's awesome.
Running towards us, that scene. And if you look closely, when they're running through Rockefeller Center, you see the statue of Prometheus at the ice rink behind them.
Right.
If you look closely, if it looks like they're being followed by someone, they are. They're being followed by someone from Rockefeller Center telling them, hey, you're not allowed to film here.
Nice.
Yeah, that's legit.
That's great.
That's legit.
That's so funny. I love Casey Kasem's voiceover.
Right.
They took care of that pesky poltergeist.
And then stayed to dance the night away with some of the lovely ladies who witnessed the disturbance. This is Casey Kasem.
And now back to the countdown.
And speaking of Casey Kasem's wife is the tall Amazon blonde at Louis Tully's party. He said, Louis, I'm going home. Well, maybe if we dance, and that's Casey Kasem's wife.
Yep, Gene Kasem. So the firehouse used as the headquarters is actually 2 different firehouses in 2 different cities.
Right.
Which I never realized. The exterior is in New York, the interior downtown Los Angeles.
If I'm not mistaken, not just with the firehouse, I think most of the interiors were done in Los Angeles.
But the LA firehouse is actually really popular with filmmakers, and it's been used in a lot of movies. In fact, the Jim Carrey film The Mask, they used it for the car mechanic's
The mechanic
garage.
shop.
Yeah.
Right. That's neat. If you look very closely, after the guy shuts down the power for the protection grid, and the firehouse blows, if you look outside as people are watching the debris fly, right after Annie Potts says, this is a sign, all right, we're going out of business, okay? Freeze it on the crowd. Look all the way to your left of the screen, and yes, folks, that is a young porn star Ron Jeremy.
I noticed that. So
Ron
funny.
Jeremy in all his, curly fro porn stash glory. That is, yes, Ron Jeremy.
He is, however, wearing clothes in that scene.
Well, like we
Thank
said
God.
earlier, this is a PG movie.
Yes. So let's talk about some of the great lines in this movie. I love when they first walk into the hotel in the beginning and they're getting ready to get on the elevator. The old man, what are you supposed to be? Some sort of cosmonaut?
Some kind of a cosmonaut?
No, we're exterminators. Somebody saw a roach on this whole floor.
That's got to be some cockroach. Bite your head off, man.
And then when they're in the elevator,
right.
when Bill Murray says, well, what's to worry about? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed
nuclear accelerator on his back.
What could go wrong?
We should have had a full test of this equipment before we used it. And Aykroyd says something like, I blame myself. And then Murray goes, so do I.
Ugly little spud, isn't he?
I think he can hear you, Ray. He's slimy. That's great! Actual physical contact. I feel so funky. Slimer is the name that people gave him.
Right.
But Slimer is not Slimer's real name.
Right.
What is Slimer's real name?
Onionhead?
Onionhead,
Yeah.
yes. Ding, 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 ding. So a little bit of trivia for you. Slimer is really Onionhead.
Yeah. Slimer was just a name, like you said, that kind of stuck, and then it became associated with the cartoon version of Ghostbusters, right?
Right.
And then, of course, you can't talk about Ghostbusters without talking about all the promotional tie-ins, like High C Ecto Cooler.
Ecto Cooler.
Which, by the way...
made a comeback.
Yes.
Which made a comeback for the new movie.
One of the most disgusting things we've seen recently in the supermarket is Twinkies with green cream in them. It's like key lime cream.
Yeah, none for me, thanks.
There's nothing even remotely appetizing
it does
about
not,
that.
Twinkies appeal to that.
Twinkies are not that great to begin with, but I have to say, every time I watch Zombieland, I want a Twinkie. And there's a great Ghostbusters connection to that movie, too.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Sigourney Weaver's part. The effect that they use where she's floating above the covers.
Right. She levitates and then she turns full 180. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff now is probably real easy to do digitally, I would think.
Right.
But they actually did a physical effect, not an optical effect for that.
Yeah, that Ivan Reitman had mastered because he directed. Remember the magician with the long hair and the mustache, Doug Henning?
Yes.
Remember Doug Henning?
Yes, I do.
Doug Henning, I think, had a Broadway show called, I don't know, Merlin or Wizard or something like that Ivan Reitman was involved in.
That's so cool.
Doug Henning did a similar trick in that show, which is where Ivan Reitman got the idea to do that with Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters. She was put in a full body cast and then attached to a post that was hidden in the curtains. I heard Ivan Reitman say once that they had to completely reshoot that scene because when they initially shot it, the way that the room was lit, it cast a shadow on the rod that was holding Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, wow.
So you could see it as a shadow on the wall.
Okay.
And they realized that, and said, no, we have to completely relight the room to avoid that shadow so that the illusion works.
Just thinking of the whole scene. There is no Dana, only Zool, which, by the way, is Ivan Reitman. But I like how he says, oh, you must have a lovely singing voice.
A lovely singing voice you must have. I want you inside me. No, it sounds like you already got at least two people in there already.
And then when she climbs on top of him, well, I have a rule not to get it. Well, it's more of a guideline.
More a guideline than a rule.
So we talked earlier about some of the original people that were supposed to be in this movie.
Let's talk about that. A lot of the people that I speak to who listen to the podcast, one of the things they like is when we talk about who else was up for the role and whether or not they could picture these people in the role.
Yeah, I mean, and we always come up with the same conclusion that the movie would never be the same.
Yeah, we say the same thing.
It's always interesting to hear some of the people that were considered. Sometimes you go, what?
Yeah, what the hell were they thinking?
So Michael Keaton turned down both the roles of Dr. Venkman and Spengler.
Wow.
Yeah, I could almost see him in either of those roles because he's so good at sarcasm and witty kind of...
Yeah, I could even see him as Ray Stantz.
I think he's very underrated, Michael Keaton.
Loves me some Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Always have.
He's very, very good. Chevy Chase also turned down the role of Venkman.
Okay.
Again, he probably could have pulled that off because one of the things that's so great about that character is Bill Murray's sarcasm and his very dry sort of, wit.
Yeah, Chase could have done that.
Yeah, Chevy Chase is pretty good at that humor, too. He actually turned it down because the original script was kind of darker and scarier, and he didn't feel like he'd be good for that.
Okay.
And Steve Guttenberg turned down the role of Venkman to star in Police Academy, which I think is very interesting.
Put you on the spot. What's his character's name in Police Academy?
Carrie Mahoney.
Oh! The kid brings his A game. Well done. Nicely done.
Talk about a dumb movie, but it's so good.
I love the first Police Academy.
That's a classic.
That might be maybe this discussion for another podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah,
absolutely.
I like the first Police Academy.
So Christopher Walken, John Lithgow, Christopher Lloyd, and Jeff Goldblum were all considered for the role of Egon.
Okay.
And by the way, according to Harold Ramis, the name Egon Spengler is a composite of two people. He went to high school with a foreign exchange student named Egon.
Okay.
And Spengler comes from historian Oswald Spengler.
Nice.
So a nice little tribute to those people.
Very cool. And there's a nice little nod to him in the new Ghostbusters.
Yes, there is.
Blink and you might miss it,
yes.
But there's a nod to him there.
We both caught it.
You actually turned to me in the theater and went, see that?
Yeah. And it's actually cool because they, in the credits too, and this is not ruining anything for anybody, but they say for Harold Ramis.
For Harold Ramis, yeah, very cool.
How great is the whole Stay Puft Marshmallow Man thing? And, by the way, These are things to look for as you're watching the movie. There's actually at least 2 references to Stay Puft Marshmallows before you ever see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Right. Sigourney Weaver, Dana Barrett, she pulls a bag of Stay Puft Marshmallows out of her grocery bag, and they're there on the counter as the eggs are frying.
Right, when they start cooking themselves.
Yeah, and you also see, I think, after they shut down the containment system and the firehouse blows and the spirits are kind of going all through the city, there's an ad for Stay Puft Marshmallows on the side of a building or something like that. Yeah.
The whole idea that I never thought anything that was such a great part of my childhood could destroy me.
Yep. I was listening to the commentary on the DVD, and Ivan Reitman said it was probably the thing that scared him the most.
Really?
When they got to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, because they had gone to really great lengths to try and ground Ghostbusters at the beginning of the movie in reality, so that when they left reality, you would willingly go and get sucked into it and believe it. And he said, I assumed we were going to have trouble with people believing the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So we were at a test screening, and we're all kind of holding our breath because we know the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is coming. And the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man comes, and he said the people at the test screening just lost it and went with it and loved it. And that's when he kind of turned to the person next to him and goes, oh, we got a hit.
Oh, this
huge. Is going to work. He's a sailor. He's in New York. We get this guy laid. We won't have any trouble.
And you know what's the best thing about it? Initially, when he first appears and he's just kind of walking, he's lumbering along.
Right.
He's got that goofy Stay Puft Marshmallow Man smile on his face. And he doesn't even look like he's going to harm anything.
No, and like and Ray Stantz even says, we used to roast Stay Puft marshmallows by the fire at Camp Wakanda. And he's got this look on his face. He's just so disappointed that it's Mr. Stay Puft.
And that's a real camp, by the way, near Peoria, Illinois.
That's right. It is absolutely a real camp, yeah.
It's an old Native American name meaning, appropriately enough, spirit water.
Really?
Wakanda.
I did not know that.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man suits cost approximately $20,000 a piece.
Pittance.
3 were made and all were destroyed during filming. So if you're thinking that you're going to be one of those Hollywood treasure types that goes and tries to find one of those Stay Puft Marshmallow Man things,
ain't happening.
Not going to happen. Let's talk about Gozer.
Gozer the Gozerian.
Yes.
It seems that the Goz has been putting the moves on my would-be girlfriend.
That's right. So the rooftop confrontation scene between Gozer and the Ghostbusters occupied an entire soundstage. It required 50,000 amps of electricity to be properly lit. It used so much power that Columbia Pictures had to shut down other stages while they were filming the scene. As long as we're talking about Gozer and the Keymaster and Gatekeeper,
right? It's
kind of funny that prior to Louis Tully becoming Vince, the Keymaster,
Vince Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer,
he locks himself out of his apartment, I think, 3 times.
Yeah.
So that's a great bit of irony there.
That's good stuff.
That's awesome. So Gozer was originally going to be played by Paul Reubens. Yes, that's right. Pee Wee Herman.
I am Gozer the Gozerian.
I know you are, but what am I?
He turned down the role. In the original script, Gozer took on the form of Ivo Shandor, the Ghost Building's architect.
As Egon Spengler says in the movie, performed a lot of unnecessary surgery.
Yes. So they wanted the character to look more interesting, so they went with the David Bowie meets Grace Jones look.
Yeah.
That's in the movie. Grace Jones was actually considered for the role even.
But at that point, I don't think they wanted to push the budget any further.
Right.
And Grace Jones was, kind of a name.
Right.
And she was known and she was popular. I forget the name of the woman who plays Gozer, but she was a Yugoslavian model.
Yeah. She had a really thick accent. When she was saying some of the lines, it actually sounded funny,
right,
which they weren't going for at that point.
So in post-production, they had to give Gozer a new voice that was provided by Patty Edwards, who also worked on some Disney stuff, including voicing Flotsam and Jetsam in the Little Mermaid animated film. The name Gozer actually comes from a documented haunting in New England. In fact, the same haunting that the movie Poltergeist was based on. A real haunting in New England where, like, the name Gozer would just appear written on walls and objects and things.
Gozer's a real thing, then?
I don't know if Gozer was a real thing, but Gozer, the name, really comes from an actual documented haunting.
Very cool.
This is stuff that Dan Aykroyd is very into.
Oh, okay.
And, he co-wrote the script with Harold Ramis.
Right, so that makes sense.
Dan Aykroyd, ever since he was a little boy, super into the paranormal and supernatural. He's a big believer in all that stuff.
When he talks about all the paranormal stuff in the script, you could see the conviction. You could see how legitimately excited he is to talk about that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Of the 4 Ghostbusters, he is the original from the start, the big believer in all of that stuff.
Right.
This is it. This is definitely it.
Yeah. By the way, we should say that there is an Easter egg at the end of the new Ghostbusters movie, too. If you go see it, stay till the very, very end of the credits.
We will not spoil it for you. Right. We're not going to tell you what it is, but stay to the very, very end.
The special effect in the library where the card catalog drawers... Remember those, kids? Kids, before Google, you had to go to the library and look up stuff with the Dewey Decimal System.
Ooh.
Yeah, you go in the card catalog, and that's how you found your book, right? So
books? What are those?
What are those? Yeah. The special effect in the library where the card catalog drawers open and the cards fly out.
Right.
That was done by prop workers hidden behind part of the set. They were pushing the drawers out, and the cards were being blown out with copper piping, which I think is very cool.
Just air being blown through copper piping to send
very
those
high
cards
pressure
flying.
air, yeah.
Very cool. A lot of that stuff in the library, those aren't special effects. They're live right there, special effects. The cards being blown, the wall falling down. When she's walking down the aisle of books, you just see 2 or 3 books just kind of float by.
Oh, yeah.
On shelves.
It's all like wires and shit.
Yeah, pretty much just books on wires.
That's great. But it works.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's part of the charm of the original.
And I love the ghost looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
And the whole, come here, Francine.
Hi, I'm Peter. Where are you from? Originally.
All right, ready? Get her.
Get her. Ah!
Get her.
That was your plan. Get her. There's actually a scarier and more horrific version of that ghost that they first encounter, but again, in order to kind of tone down the horror content of the movie, they decided to go with the version that you see in the final cut. But the scarier version of that ghost, you can see that version in another Columbia Pictures movie, 1985's horror classic, Fright Night.
That's something that we've talked about on the podcast before, if not you and I specifically. I know for a fact, when I've done podcasts with Sue, we've talked about things that have been recycled.
Right.
Through different movies. I think in the Independence Day podcast, we talked about how the Oval Office was used in The American President or something like that.
Okay, cool.
So there's always stuff that gets recycled in different movies.
Sure.
Which is pretty cool.
It's neat to make those connections.
The Ectomobile, Ecto-1, the Ghostbusters hearse.
Ecto-1.
Sound designer Richard Beggs created the siren sound by altering the pitch, processing and editing the sound of a leopard snarl.
Wow.
Which I think is very cool.
That's pretty cool, man. So we talked about the firehouse earlier in the podcast. There's a scene where Bill Murray's standing outside and they're hanging the sign that says Ghostbusters outside the firehouse. You don't think that's too small, right? You don't think people won't drive by and won't see the sign. 3 or 4 weeks into the production of Ghostbusters, Columbia Pictures still had not secured the rights to the name Ghostbusters.
Oh, wow.
So they didn't find out until weeks into production of the film that they were going to be able to use the name Ghostbusters in the film.
Wow.
That could have been a disaster. So they had standby names at the ready just in case.
Okay.
This movie could have been called Ghost Smashers.
Okay.
Or Ghost Stoppers. Now, at one point, they're filming the climactic scene outside Dana Barrett's apartment, and they have just like hundreds of New York City extras out there. Mm-hmm. And before the guys go into the building, after the kind of the earthquake breaks the street apart,
Yep.
The guys get up and everybody's going, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters,
Yes,
Ghostbusters. Yes. I think one of the executive producers went to a telephone booth. Remember those?
Yes.
Went to a telephone booth on the corner, called up Columbia Pictures, held the phone out so that the executive on the other end could hear 400 New York City extras chanting Ghostbusters. He gets back on the phone and says, you guys better get the rights to this name.
That's great.
You guys got to get the rights to the name Ghostbusters. Listen to that
amazing.
crowd.
Can you imagine?
They could have been royally screwed.
Oh, man. Such a great movie.
Yeah.
This one never gets old for me.
Never.
Every time I watch it, it's still just as fun for me. I guess, again, because it kind of transports you back to that time in your life a little bit. And it's just a great movie. It's well written, well acted. It's fun.
Did you see it in the theaters in '84?
Of course.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Everybody went to see this.
It was the movie that you had to, if you couldn't get into Beverly Hills Cop.
Right.
And I couldn't because I think I was in 7th grade at the time.
Yeah.
You saw Ghostbusters.
This was the perfect movie to go to with your friends back then.
Hopefully, those of you listening, you can hear how excited we are to talk about this movie
Right.
and how much fun this is for us. Because if you were here in the studio watching us record this podcast, we're smiling a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
We're smiling and laughing a lot. I love this movie.
Yeah, because we're thinking about all the great stuff in it.
Yeah,
You know?
so much great stuff.
Well, thanks for coming in and for doing the podcast. I always appreciate it, man. I love doing this with you. It's always a blast.
As do I. Always a great time, brother. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening. You can like us on Facebook.com/ScreenFacts. Let us know what your favorite scene is in this movie, and let us know if you go see the new Ghostbusters. You can comment on the post that I'm going to put up on Facebook, or you can email screenfacts@yahoo.com. Let me know what you think. I'm at Jason Davis Voice on Twitter as well. Please help others find the show by rating and commenting on iTunes. Thanks to all of you who have done that. I really appreciate it. You can also show your support for the show by ordering Screen Facts merchandise on the podcast page of jasondavisvoice.com, including the brand new car magnets. That's right.
I got 2 of them on my car, baby.
Yeah, boy. And I really appreciate that. Yeah,
Of
if you
course.
want to help people discover the podcast, that's a great way to do it by slapping a magnet on the back of your car, baby.
Slap it.
Yeah. Show theme music by Audionautics.com. Thanks to WickedRadioNetwork.com and our announcer, Kim McKay from Kim'sVoice.com.
Screen Facts with Jason Davis is a production of Jason Davis VoiceOver. Visit JasonDavisVoice.com if you need a voice for a commercial, narration, promo, internet video, e-learning or training program, and more. Click on the podcast page to get information about where you can download and listen to past episodes. Listen again next Wednesday for a new episode of Screen Facts with Jason Davis.